I remember that when Modi ji went to the US, he specifically mentioned that the last time I was in US, India was the 10th largest economy. But today, India is the 5th largest economy. To most people, these may just seem like numbers. And a large segment of the population also believes that we have become the 5th largest economy merely because of our population. But, sir, you have been a participant in the economic story of India. So, sir, what exactly have we done so differently in the past 10 years that we've taken this big leap to become the 5th largest economy?
So, first of all, we need to understand these numbers and let me put them in context. So, when we began liberalizing our economy, I began become serious about economic policy making in 1991. We were only a $270 billion economy, so we were that small. It then took us 16, 17 years till 2007-8 to become a $1 trillion economy. Okay, that long how it took. From there, it took us 7 years, okay, to 2014-15 to become a $2 trillion economy. Now, from there, it should have been faster, but then we took about another 7 years odd, partly because of COVID, to become a $3 trillion economy, which happened in 21-22. Then we added another $1 trillion in just 3 years. So we were a $3 trillion economy in 21-22. This year, in the year 2024-25, we'll be close to $4 trillion. So another $1 trillion being added in 3 years, a little over 3 years. So the reason I'm making this point to you is this: people forget the power of compounding. Okay, China. Everybody says, oh my God, this is now a $19 trillion economy, impossibly big. Do remember that they got here through compounding. And people learned compound interest rates in school, but they forget how powerful it is. In the first few years, it doesn't seem to matter. And then a few years later, it just blows up. So this is the important thing. So this power of compounding, what we are benefiting from. This number, of course, is a nominal number, not a real number. But our economy last year grew by 8.2%. It is growing at double digits in nominal dollar terms. And this year again, it'll go by 7% in real terms, in again, probably over 10% in nominal dollar terms. The point I'm making is this 10 percentage point compounding is massively powerful. So we are now at $4 trillion. It take us a little over 2 years, somewhere in 2007 or so, we will become a $5 trillion economy. Along the way, we will go past Japan, which we should do this year or early next year, and then another 2 years from there to go past Germany, to become the world's third largest economy. So what I'm trying to say is, this is basically that compounding process. Now, of course, people will say that even when we are the world's third largest economy, $5 trillion economy, etc., we will be, per capita terms, poor. No doubt about it. We'll be the 5th largest economy now, then 3rd largest economy. But we already are, by some margin, the world's largest population. So one divided by the other, not surprisingly, the number is small. And it's barely around about $3,000 per capita. Remember, US is at $80,000 per capita. Even if you adjust for purchasing power, we will still be at little over $10,000 per capita. Okay, so we are a poor economy, not as poor as we used to be. Admittedly, we used to have barely, $330 or something per capita in 1991. So from there, we have grown a little less than 10 times. So no doubt that we are much less poor than we used to be. That extreme kind of poverty I remember from my childhood is now restricted to much smaller areas and a much smaller segment of society. But yes, we are still very, very poor. And the solution to this is to keep this compounding process going. Everybody got here through compounding. We are not going to be an exception. China got through it. the West went through this compounding process. They just started in the 19th century, through the 20th century, over a long period of time. We probably don't want to spend that much time getting here, but even if we go for an East Asian model, it was still compounding. So the first point I want to make to you is, no matter how you think about this, this is about compounding. And we have now reached a critical mass where that compounding is really beginning to count. And so that point I was making is that we are adding that extra $1 trillion faster and faster. And that's basically the point we have reached. Now, some people will say, and the point you were making, is that this is only happening because we have a large population, we are very poor, and so on. Well, utter rubbish. We had a large population and we're even poorer in the 1960s and 70s. We didn't grow. We only began to get going serious about growth in the 90s. Why? Because we began to have sensible policies, right? So the point I'm making is that sensible policies matter. Simply having population doesn't get you there. Simply being poor and therefore having a catch-up doesn't get you there. Not only forget India's own history of being very poor. Well, there are many countries in the world which are much poorer than us. Much of Africa, there's Pakistan, Afghanistan. Why aren't they growing faster than us? So to make this case that we are growing faster because we are poor is utter rubbish. We have been even poorer in the past and we didn't grow.
Hi guys, thank you so much for watching the Indian Business Podcast. If you find value in our work, please hit that subscribe button, because for you it might be a zero effort task, but for us that subscriber count is an important instrument to get great guests to our podcast and to make this podcast better for you. So if you find value, please subscribe.